Really good to see y'all, and congratulations to the organizers. I've heard that we've more than doubled the number of people that are here, so thanks everybody for showing up, and thanks to the Southern Youth for hosting us this morning as well. So really good to be here. Helen Katich is how you say my last name, so good to see y'all. I serve as Senator Hickenloper's Western Colorado Director, largely working between Durango and Grand Junction and all of our counties in between. So I am sorry that Senator Hickenloper wasn't able to join us this morning, but I was tasked with the assignment of talking about water reuse funding opportunities through the federal government. Also, I'm really excited about our next panel coming up that will be focusing in on the Colorado River. So I'll hopefully tee up in whatever way I can some of that dialogue around Senator Hickenloper's work over in DC with the Colorado River Caucus as well. So quickly, I think we've heard a lot about all of the different ways that water reuse comes into play. So we're really thinking about on a federal level water reuse as water security, both on a local level, but also on a basin-wide level. So over the past 2 years, Congress has made really significant investments into water infrastructure, clean water, and drought resilience. And the key for this larger framework of drought, this is the federal response to this critical issue that we're all facing now. So water reuse obviously contributes to all of these objectives and received, honestly, generational funding from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and the Inflation Reduction Act. You might hear me refer to this as the bill or the IRA. So I first want to take a step back. Let's see, boop. It worked. I love that. Take a step back to get a scale of the overall investments into water infrastructure that Senator Hickenloper and his colleagues helped secure over this last Congress. So we saw $8.3 million into Western water infrastructure. Just as a note, I didn't expect 270 people here today either. So I have a 50-page or 50 copies of a one-pager if any of you are interested in some of these figures, particularly through the bill, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. So feel free to tag me if you want a physical copy of any of this. Again, not 270 copies, so I apologize there. But we saw $8.3 billion in Western water infrastructure, over $20 billion for safe drinking water, including treatment of PFAS, $12 billion for clean drinking waters for community, which will help upgrade critical wastewater and stormwater management systems, and then $4.6 billion for worsening drought conditions. The large majority of those funds are directed towards the Colorado River Basin and other areas experiencing similar levels of drought, or as my boss would say, a reality of a changed climate and a changing climate. So, to hone in a little bit on water reuse in particular, this is really coming in from funding through the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. We saw $11.7 billion for clean water state revolving funds, certainly eligible and used in the state of Colorado. So Clean Water SRF is a source of low-income financing for a really wide range of infrastructure and water quality projects. The EPA issues some of the monies to the states, which then disperse to local communities at low-interest long-term loans. So once it goes from the EPA to Colorado, and I think this might have actually been updated, it was going to the Water Pollution Control Revolving Fund, and I think there has been an update this year on where that money goes, and there are so many people in this room that know the answer to that, so feel free to jump up and correct me. So SRFs can be used for a number of wastewater infrastructure activities, which include water recycling projects for wastewater, stormwater, and subsurface drainage water. I think it's worth noting that the bill, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, ensured that half of these funds would be used as grants or loan forgiveness, which is a big win for these programs. So next up, we had $550 million invested for water recycling and reuse projects. This is Title 16, which I don't remember. Did you mention Title 16? Okay. Maybe. I did. You did. Okay, good. So Title 16, we were having a conversation last night on Title 16 really hasn't been used a lot in the state of Colorado, but again, received a significant investment into this program that boosts water recycling projects to provide supplemental water supplies from agricultural drainage water, wastewater, subsurface groundwater, or other sources of contaminated water. Authorized recipients include irrigation districts, water districts, municipalities, as we heard before, as well as tribes. A feasibility study is a part of the requirements for Title 16, but like I mentioned before, I would love to have conversations with the room, with you all later on why we haven't seen Title 16 really largely used in the state of Colorado. Senator Hickenloper and our office really think that this is an opportunity for the state of Colorado to take advantage of this investment. So if you are interested, we know of one project coming up on the western slope that is planning on applying for Title 16 funds. If any of you are interested and think that this might apply to your work, we would love to talk to you. Okay, so we saw $450 million for large-scale water recycling and reuse programs. These are really intended for, it's an authorization of this new program that provides funding to support planning and design and construction of really large-scale water recycling and reuse programs that are really intended to serve millions of people. So probably won't be used in Durango, but just to give a sense of the cost, it has to be a $500 million minimum project cost with a federal cost share of 25% with no minimum or no maximum for those projects. So it is really, really intended for very large projects. I will say that the reason why I think we should all be excited about this in the Four Corners area and otherwise is really the hook on the Colorado River. We're seeing a couple of projects in Southern California, some proposals that likely will come out of Nevada and Arizona as well. So if we can support these large-scale reuse projects, we're hoping that that will ease up some of the pressure on the Colorado River system. So this is a really important new authorization for this funding. Okay, and then Water Smart, I bet that this is the program that a lot of us know the most about in this room. So provides grant for water conservation, drought resiliency, environmental water resources, as well as other initiatives. They can include infrastructure improvements, design support tools, other opportunities for long-term drought resiliency. So we saw a really exciting project, I think that was just funded in January over the Aurora Prairies Water Project. I think it was January that they got the federal investment through Water Smart for their recycling project over in Aurora. It was a $5 million investment through Water Smart to more than double their capacity to serve the Aurora community. So really exciting project over there and great to see the federal investment for reuse projects, particularly in urban areas. I will finish now with just hopefully foreshadowing the next conversation on the Colorado River. So again, really excited about this piece. We'll hear soon more about it. So Senator Hickenloper has been convening his fellow Colorado Basin senators in DC through the Colorado River Caucus to discuss challenges that we all face on the river and work towards policy solutions. It's really an ongoing forum and dialogue made to ensure that the entire Basin Senate delegation is in close contact with state commissioners and representatives to continue the work in a negotiated approach to managing our water crisis and water resources. I do want to make sure that it's very clear that the Colorado River Caucus is not meant to replace the role of the states, but really to work collaboratively. There we go. The one other thing that I'll say about this is we are seeing really large investments into the Colorado River Basin, and so there will likely be some federal oversight, and also we want to make sure that our Senate delegation is able to keep pressure on the Bureau of Reclamation to make sure that they're spending down these funds and able to show to us that, that the funds used for drought mitigation and a changing climate are working. And so the one other note that I'll share about this is should and probably when more federal investments are necessary. Senator Hickenloper is making sure that our Senate delegation across the basin are really working together and understand the urgency of the issue for additional federal investment should and when they become necessary. So I will end there, and really good to see y'all. Thanks again for having me.